All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. For the first time, we're seeing some of these images and videos from Jeffrey Epstein's private island as the House Oversight Committee, the Democrats, releasing some of these images here on this Wednesday as the investigation of the late disgraced financier and accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, while continuing to call on the Department of Justice to release its files as Congress has demanded. So some of these images inside of a bedroom. We also saw a picture to show a dentist chair in a room with masks on the wall. And this is what they posted on social media, kind of glimpse of that exact room. Some of these harrowing images for the first time, never before seen. Let's be joined right now by Bart Jansen from USA Today. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And we've seen documents come out. We've seen words and emails released from some of this trove of evidence. This is really the first time we're seeing these images. What do we make of them, and why now were they released?
Well, they were released because the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee received 5,000 pages of new documents, pictures, videos, and other records yesterday, and have begun dribbling them out. In addition, they are getting bank records from JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank that they think will help describe how Epstein was able to move money around and perhaps show where the sources of his money came from. So releasing some of these pictures shows sort of a tantalizing look at what was going on that island by showing bedrooms. Of course, there are allegations of sex abuse and rape, that perhaps these bedrooms were the scenes of crimes. That is not stated in the release of the pictures. The picture of the dentist chair with masks on the wall is odd and at least tantalizing what might have happened there. And another interesting picture was a picture of a phone with the speed dial buttons listing first names and what appear to be cell phone numbers. So it's Mike Cell, Larry Cell. We don't know who those might have been linked to, but again, tantalizing revelations from on this private compound as they are trying to force the release of more information from the Justice Department.
And like those emails, there's a lack of context to some of this. You mentioned kind of the phone with the name and a number beside it, and you can kind of allude to what's going on, but we don't know for certain. Are they ever going to connect the dots? Is that what the House Democrats are trying to do by releasing some of these? Is that out there?
That's absolutely the path that they would like to take. This is just a first blush release as they've gathered more documentation, but they are absolutely trying to determine more about what all happened on the island, who may have helped Epstein in his alleged sex trafficking, and how were all these, sometimes public figures or rich figures, how were they involved? And so, yes, they are trying to link all of this together.
And you mentioned some of the interesting component, kind of talking about following the money as well. You mentioned the tantalizing nature of these photos and a lot of people gripping to that, but maybe the money is a more important facet to it. Can you get into that a little bit more? How important is that? Some of those records from JP Morgan following the money, is that more important than the pictures almost?
Well, probably yes. The pictures just describe what the house on this private island looked like in 2020, the year after Epstein died by suicide, awaiting trial on his charges. The pictures were taken by law enforcement, and so it sort of sets the scene. And if you knew that something happened in a specific room, that would help you visualize. All right, here's where it was. Here's what might have happened. But the financial standings are what could be much more helpful in tracking how the alleged sex trafficking was accomplished and who might have helped cover it up or protect Epstein from prosecution before he was indicted in 2019. And that's much of that is speculation. We don't know what they've gotten in those bank records, but they think by tracing the money, you could trace who supported him and how he was moving dollars around.
And you mentioned the mountain of evidence that there is, and we saw the discharge petition on the House side. It was 427 to 1, I believe, in terms of this. And as they go through it, will this be how we will continue to see it? Will House Democrats and the Oversight Committee continue to release it in this way? We've heard from the Trump administration saying they have kind of cherry-picked their way through some of these documents. Is this what we expect? What comes next?
Yeah, well, the big deadline that's coming up is December 19th. The House approved legislation calling on the Justice Department, well, all of Congress approved legislation calling on the Justice Department to release its criminal investigative files dealing with Epstein. Up to this point, Attorney General Pam Bondi has said they've released as much as they can, that the remainder of the documents is basically pornography or would violate the privacy of victims or others. And so she has been reluctant to release additional documents. This congressional vote is calling on them to release more. We don't know how much more we will get, but that these are criminal investigative files. So they could be, the goal is to say, the notes from interviews with victims and others that could provide a wealth of detail about what was happening from, the FBI or other criminal investigators. So there's the potential for a lot of information. The concern has been about not violating the privacy of people who, might not want to be revealed. But of course, the victims and other advocates have been pushing for the release of much more of this information. So come December 19th, we're going to get a much better feel for how much more we can see from the Justice Department.
All right, very good. Bart, thank you so much for showing these photos one more time of what the House Oversight Committee really released. And it was good detail that you provided there about the next deadline for this. Also noting what we might see or might not see, some of those redactions. We saw the name Virginia Guthrie being redacted last time, although she's been very much in the public eye quite a bit around this as well. Obviously, we're following it. Bart, thank you so much. I appreciate your time here on Live Now from Fox.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great conversation. The first time we are seeing the public seeing some of these images from Jeffrey Epstein's private island and some gripping images, but some of those information that might be released might be more telling on what's to come in terms of this. The documents come from civil lawsuits involving JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, U.S. Virgin Islands. Democrats continue to call on the DOJ to release documents from its criminal investigation as a Congress mandated legislation with deadline of December the 19th. I'm Andy Mack. We're back.